This is TWiT.
This is called Luna. Luna is, let's talk about actually first, let's explain cloud gaming platforms. So Microsoft and I keep forgetting who the other one is. Why do I keep forgetting?
Stadia.
Google Stadia.
Thank you. Google Stadia. Microsoft and Google have both created these cloud gaming platforms. The idea is that, look, you may not have the computer or the console that can, or you may, and you just want to game somewhere else. But let's go with you may not have idea. You may not have the computer or the console that can properly control and run games and have these beautiful graphics and things like that. But what if we take that stuff and we put it in the cloud and basically have it being processed by a much better computer than you could have in your home, and you essentially just stream over the internet. It sends you the pixels and you send it the controls, and that happens back and forth, and you get to play a game that looks beautiful and runs beautifully, and you are not limited by device, and you're not limited by the location and things like that, with some caveats, of course. That is the idea of an online gaming platform. And now Amazon is coming out with one called Luna. Amazon is making a game controller as well. And what's cool is it's going to be available on PC. It's going to be available on Mac. It's going to be available on Fire TV and iPhone and iPad. An Android version will come later. But it is, what's exciting about this is that the other ones have kind of had trouble getting proper access or access at all on iOS, even via web apps, which is the case with this. And so for folks who are on those places, they will be able to use this. It's going to start at $5.99 a month. This is an introductory price. It will go up after that, but you can game with two devices simultaneously, 4K, 60 frames per second resolution, and there will be more than 100 games available at launch, and then, of course, more added over time. So it's all, and I should also mention, Amazon owns Twitch. There's going to be a Twitch integration, of course.
Yeah, that's cool.
So yeah, $49.99 for the ALEXA enabled Luna controller, and then you can, so it says Luna controller is ALEXA enabled and connects directly to the cloud to effortlessly control your game, featuring a multiple antenna design that prioritizes uninterrupted Wi-Fi for lower latency gaming. In fact, our testing showed a reduction in round trip latency when playing Luna controller with Cloud Direct versus Luna controller via Bluetooth, with reductions of between 17 to 30 milliseconds among PC, Fire TV, and Mac. Because the Luna controller connects directly to cloud servers, players can easily switch between screens, such as Fire TV to mobile, without additional pairing or configuration changes. So this is really neat to me. Basically, the controller doesn't connect between your device and you. Instead, it connects to the streaming platform. And so I'm sending those controls directly to the streaming platform that I'm paying for. And then it is taking those things, doing your controls, and showing you on screen what's being done. So that means that in 1 second, I can be playing it on my Mac, and then I open up my iPad, head to Safari, launch the game, and immediately can start playing without having to do a Bluetooth pairing on my iPad and switching it from Bluetooth pairing to the computer. That is so smart. I love that, because I was honestly, I'm not a gamer at all, but I was thinking about this. One of the biggest headaches that you have is if you're connected with your controller to something else and then you want to make that switch, you've got to then pair it, do all that kind of stuff. No, not with this, because it's not connected that way. It's connected directly to the cloud service. That is smart. I should also note that Amazon said it worked directly with Safari engineers at Apple to make sure that it would work on iPhone and iPad via the web apps, as well as on the Mac. So Mac gamers and iOS gamers, be happy that this is allegedly going to work quite well with that.
Yeah.
I have requested early access to it. just so I can see what it's like if I do get that invitation. But yeah, you're more of a gamer because I remember you talking on one episode of the show about playing, I think, GTA or something like that. So what are your thoughts on streaming games in general, streaming gaming platforms in general, and specifically with this? Are you excited about it or what?
I am not sold on the concept entirely. I think it makes sense in a lot of contexts, but I think in a lot of ways, if you do play console type games, just some of the latency stuff with certain types of games seems like one of those things that can't be matched. So I think probably the biggest thing is that I haven't tried them. And so like that is what will make or break the experience, because how quick it is could be fine. I've talked in the past about using OneCast, which lets you send your Xbox to your phone and play through that. And it does have latency as well. So it's all right. I wouldn't play Call of Duty, but I could play Red Dead Redemption by myself, kind of like not things that are like fast Twitch games, as people, not referencing the service, but people call them. The Twitch integration in this is interesting. Like that definitely made this click another level than just like, what is Amazon? I just kind of forgot that Amazon owns Twitch. So, which is very obvious just in terms of hearing this news. It's just kind of like Amazon doing another Fire TV type of thing, or for people who, again, just don't want to buy a console. Like that's a huge thing right now, is that a PlayStation is $400 and Microsoft's doing a whole sort of iPhone upgrade program system for the new Xbox that makes it $30 a month for like 2 years, but it's still only $30 a month, and you get their Game Pass thing. So there's like a ton of choice right now for gamers. That's very interesting. The cloud gaming stuff, that appeal sounds, the part about switching between devices and not having to pair them sounds pretty cool. Like it does sound. I think that's the thing, is we seem so on the precipice of gaming coming to all of your devices, which is Apple Arcade kind of came in and tried to make that available just by you having to, but you have to download like 150 apps and get it and that kind of thing. That's a whole thing with Microsoft's service, and what you were referencing, this working through the web app, is that Microsoft currently can't bring their, is it xCloud, to iPhone because Apple wants it to basically be separate individual apps for every single game, which just, again, like for me, I mean, that's my problem with Apple Arcade. It even iOS 14 uninstalled them all because it needed the space. And I laughed at that Fortnite article about, oh, watch out, it might uninstall Fortnite. And it happened to me. Like I couldn't play it again. Not that I want to, but it is still like, that app is no longer on my device because I uninstalled it. So there's definitely a
yikes.
I mean, it's like, even if you think about it, Apple's like profit margins come from their storage space. It is wild that Apple's money comes from hardware space like 90% of the time, just because they sell you on a 1 terabyte thing and it doesn't cost them nearly that much. So it is kind of a space that would hit Apple hard. So it's interesting to see. I mean, you can't stop the web, which is a good part about that hopefully the web app does. And the technology is there for, I think that's something that's been true over the last few years, is things that you would assume couldn't work on the web definitely can now. Figma is a great example. It's a design tool that I use that is basically Google Docs for design, and you can do it all online, and people kind of think you need a whole computer for that, but you could do it from anywhere basically. So I didn't realize I had this many thoughts about this, because I kind of like, I don't know. I think I kind of have to participate in this at some point just to see what it's like, because I am interested in games. That's something I've always been interested in, but is something that I'm going to be like doing more game streams. So it would be like, I guess I didn't come back around to that point about Twitch, is you could be watching someone on Twitch and immediately jump into the game that they're playing. That was a cool thing about Stadia. So it seems it's more compelling than I originally thought. Whether or not I think the problem is just internet speeds fundamentally, especially during quarantine times, are unreliable. So watching a game go from 4K to 480p or something is not a tenable solution. So that is kind of just that whole underlying hook with these, that it's not clear. But I wonder if it could stream directly to your echoes for the sound, or like latency with sound is another thing. And when you were talking about the controller switching, my eyes like lit up, because AirPod switching is very good lately. That's one of the new features of iOS 14. There's still some stuff to iron out, but if you could have controller switching with an Apple-based controller, they could kind of do that with Apple Arcade or things like that. So yeah, it's a whole world. Like, Microsoft is supposedly going to come out with the Xbox app letting you stream directly from your Xbox and things like that. So there's a lot of decisions to make if you're a gamer going forward. But I think what's great is there's tons of options. Like, that was one of the major things with lockdown, is everybody was playing games, especially, I mean, Animal Crossing got a lot of awareness, but just as a pastime, it's fantastic. There you have endless games that I've been watching tons of TV, but you can only watch so much, and games you can kind of play endlessly. So companies moved to invest in this area more.